Hi everyone. On February 6th, the Holy Orthodox Church celebrates the wonderful memory of Dorothea of Caesarea and Cappadocia. Now Dorothea, who reposed around the year 311, we're not exactly sure, lived under the reign of the tyrannous and very horrible, at least for Christians, Diocletian. Diocletian had a particular governor in the region that she lived in, whose name was Sapricius. Now, Sapricius is someone who had heard about Dorothea and her Christianity, and even though he really didn't know much about it, he decided to bring her in for interrogation. After the usual pleads with her and interrogatory questions, she was laid out on an iron bed with a slow-burning fire underneath it. And while she was there, Sapricius came and he asked her. He said, well, is this what you're happy with now? This is what your Christianity, although he didn't call it by that name, got you now. Is this something you can deal with? And Dorothea said, well, I'll tell you, the pains that you're about to inflict on me, they don't matter to me at all, as long as I am able to see him whose love I share. And Sapricius, evidently not going into too much theological detail with her earlier, asked her, well, who is this one that you love? And she said, it is Christ, the Son of God. He is the one that I love, and he is the one that I desire to be with. And so Sapricius said, well, what is it that he can give you that's so important? Well, because he's the God-man, because he is in heaven and in all places at all times, he desires to bring me to live with him in his heavenly kingdom. And in this kingdom, there are absolutely wonderful things. Roses that are always blooming, flowers everywhere, all sorts of incredible fruits, all sorts of beauty and pastures and fields that you can't even imagine. Well, as it turns out, nearby Sapricius was another man who had been listening to all this. His name was Theophilus, and he was a lawyer. And he was sort of smirking at this and came to her and said, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you bring me some of the fruit and flowers from this place that you talk about? And Dorothea, looking up at him, said, okay, I will. Immediately, she was taken for execution, and as she bowed, still looking up at Theophilus, turned her head, and the axe fell, and she entered into the joy of her Lord. But that's not the end of the story. As it turns out, Theophilus went home, and one evening he was sitting there and talking to some of his friends. Well, unbeknownst to him, before Dorothea had reposed, a bright angel, more beautiful than anything she had ever seen, looking like some sort of glorious, well-dressed youth, was there, and in his hand he held 3 apples and 3 flowers. And he spoke with Dorothea. And Dorothea said, please, would you take this to Theophilus once I am gone? Well, Theophilus, of course, not knowing any of this, was very cavalier about what he had said to Dorothea. And there in the midst of all his friends, he was joking about it and laughing and saying, look, this woman came in and said she was going to this place that had all this great stuff in it. And so I asked her, why don't you send me some of it? And they were all laughing and enjoying themselves, the big joke. Well, at that very moment, this same angel appeared before Theophilus. You can imagine Theophilus's reaction as well as those around him. And this angel had a very grave look on his face. And he said to Theophilus, here, from the servant of God, Dorothea, are the gifts that she promised you. And he held out 3 apples and 3 beautiful flowers. Theophilus, right after this, again, as you can well imagine, believed. He converted to the faith of Christ. And when he went back to the governor of the region, who was originally interrogating Dorothea, he confessed that he too now had become a Christian. And within a very short period of time, Theophilus also was executed and went to join his now friend Dorothea at the table of the Lord. It's interesting to see now Dorothea, after her great confession that she has now become the patron saint of florists and gardeners and brides and newlyweds. And if you look at her icon, you can see that she holds in one hand a cross, as all the martyrs do, and in the other hand, grasped in her arm, is a basket. And in that basket are 3 apples and 3 beautiful flowers. In fact, all of heaven is adorned with beautiful flowers, and here on earth, we call them the saints. Bye-bye.